Good evening everyone, welcome back to another show. In tonight's video we're going to be talking about the Friday sermon speech of Sayyid Ali Khamenei, the Supreme Leader of Iran, the latest updates when it comes to Lebanon, what Israel is doing and planning to further do in Lebanon, the attacks that Hezbollah conducted on Israel today, the visit of the Iranian foreign minister to Lebanon, and more developments in the region, including the potential of an Israeli attack, where could that go, and what Iran would do as a response to that potential attack coming from Israel. I'm going to start off with Lebanon. Israel suffered massive losses in the past couple of days in Lebanon. They are hiding it massively, but even with all of the censorship, they still admitted that over 10 Israeli soldiers were killed. We had confirmations from Hezbollah that 17 were killed only in yesterday's attacks. Israel confirmed that 8 and a commander were killed the day before. And today Israel confirmed that 2 of its soldiers from the Golani Brigade were killed from an Iraqi attack, from an attack from the Iraqi resistance on one of their bases, and 2 were critically wounded and 25 were injured in total. Firstly, when it comes to Hezbollah, Israel's assassinations of senior figures and the reported attempted assassination last night in Beirut of Sayyid Hashim Safiuddin, they are unable to do anything when it comes to the resistance, and they are receiving massive blows. Today we also had dozens of attacks coming from Hezbollah, both on Israeli forces on the borders with Lebanon, but also deep into Israeli territories on Haifa and areas nearby. So this means that Hezbollah are still expanding the range of attacks, and the day-to-day attacks that they are conducting against Israel hasn't decreased, it only increased further and further, and they are still giving Israel lethal blows in the areas on the Lebanese borders, and they are also attacking the areas next to Lebanon very heavily. Today they had a massive attack on the Metula area, and they also used their Burkan missile that has a warhead of approximately half a ton and can even have a heavier warhead. This is not stopping Israel from continuing with its plans. Firstly, because of the levels of Israeli troops on the Lebanese borders. Israel has over 70,000 troops on the borders with Lebanon. These numbers do not sit well with the claims that Israel is only looking for a small operation in South Lebanon. Israel is planning to have a very large operation in Lebanon, and they are planning to go deep into Lebanon with these forces. Of course, none of that is happening. Now, mind you, you might see certain situations where the resistance in Lebanon wants Israel to go in, to lure them into certain locations for certain ambushes they prepare for them. But Israel will not be finding success, especially because of the initial indications that we're having from the first couple of days of their attempted invasions that miserably failed, and they had so many casualties when it comes to that. So they are still trying, and as a matter of fact, we had a confirmation today that Israel sent a further 2 brigades to the Lebanese borders because they are suffering. They are losing many troops, much more than what they're claiming to be losing. Secondly, the forces that they have in these areas, although they are supposed to be the most trained, the most capable, and those with the most experience in Lebanon, are failing miserably. So they are deploying more forces, and they are still keen on having this ground operation in Lebanon, hoping to reach somewhat of a solution with Hezbollah and force them up north. We also had a visit today. The visit came from Iran. The Iranian foreign minister visited Lebanon. This visit on its own is a big challenge for Israel. This was in spite of Israeli threats that they will be taking down any Iranian plane trying to go down in Beirut. Previously, they forced an Iranian airplane to go back. They threatened them, but despite threats, the Iranian foreign minister came and landed in Lebanon, and he spoke with officials in Lebanon, and he said, we support Hezbollah, we support the resistance, we support the Lebanese people, and we support the Lebanese in general to continue their resistance against Israel. Challenging Israel again in a way to say, if you want, try and attack this airplane and see what happens to you. This is coming with more talks coming from Israel about this potential retaliation against Iran. Of course, during or after the attacks, shortly after the Iranian attack on Israel, Israeli media started to come up with reports that, we might not have to attack the Iranian oil facilities or the nuclear projects, but now they are still saying that no, we might have an attack on Iran's oil factories or oil refineries and hit some strategic locations. But Iran is still threatening with a massive retaliation if they do so. Firstly, they told them, if you retaliate, if you attack us back after this, because from Iran's perspective, they carried out the attack and it ended. They told the Israelis, if you attack us, we will attack you violently and instantly. And in other reports, with an unconventional attack. Now they're saying we will attack your oil refineries and your power plants and we will destroy them. Previously, they also said that we can destroy all of your infrastructure in Israel. All of this is boiling down to the United States of America. In April, clearly the American administration had some success in putting some restraints on Israel when it comes to their attack on Iran after Iran attacked them or responded to their attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria. By having a small mini attack, they did not claim responsibility and it was nothing significant. And Israel, of course, did not take responsibility. Therefore, Iran did not have to retaliate to that response. But now, Israel is still showing keenness to strike back. How likely is the American administration to stop them from carrying out this attack? We're not sure. Because so far, all of this Israeli escalation has been supported fully by the United States. As a matter of fact, there are many indications that it is the United States supporting all of this for future plans that they have for the Middle East. Which leads me to the Friday sermon of Sayyid Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran. He had a Friday sermon for the first time in about 5 years. And usually when he has or leads the Friday sermon, this means we have an important speech coming, and indeed it was an important speech. And some of the key highlights he had in his speech, firstly, part of it was in Persian, part of it was in Arabic. And the reason that he chose the Arabic language was to send a message to the Arabs in general as well, that this war, this battle that we're having, this conflict, is against an enemy that is against all of us. So we should be united against this enemy. We have foreign intervention in our region, and it's threatening all of us. One of the key things that he mentioned was the fact that the Americans' goal is to turn Israel a gateway for exporting energy from the region to the West and importing goods and technology from the West to the region. And he also added, reality shows us that every blow that any person or group inflicts on this entity, meaning Israel, is a service to the entire region and even to all of humanity. So although he's talking about Muslim unity, he's talking about Arab unity against these projects led by the United States that is looking to divide this region, he is saying that any attack against them is serving humanity. So he's looking at it from a humanitarian perspective as well. He added the entity is ruthless and unstable and has barely survived with American support, and God willing, it will not survive. The Zionist entity has suffered a defeat in the face of the resistance, and the Zionist gang has also reached a conclusion that victory over Hamas and Hezbollah can never be achieved. He continued to praise the resistance movements as well. A big part of his speech was a dedication to the martyrs, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah and Ismail Haniyeh and the other martyrs. And he was very much keen on showing the strength of Iran and the importance of going ahead with the resistance against Israel and the United States campaign in the region. One very important thing that he mentioned as well is that Iran basically acts in a calculated manner, in a manner where they scientifically approach things when it comes to their responses, and that they do them in the correct time and in the right context. And in general, this was a speech of unity, a speech to support the resistance. And again, when it comes to Iran, they are representing something that we are not seeing anywhere when it comes to the state as a whole, because Iran as a whole country, with the leadership, with the government, with the population, are very much supportive, openly supportive of the right of the Palestinian people. And by doing that, they are showing that they are the actual true champions of human rights who sacrifice for fighting for other people's rights, not only Iranian people's rights. And we had the sacrifices coming from Lebanon and Iraq and Yemen as well, as proof that these countries are also not only looking at themselves internally, but looking at human rights in general. And the most just cause that we're talking about nowadays is the Palestinian cause. So Iran and the resistance fronts are leading this path when it comes to human rights in Palestine and in the region. When it comes to Lebanon, it's not only, of course, Hezbollah having these blows against Israel. Israel is also attacking in Lebanon, and what they're attacking is very typical. Civilian facilities, hospitals, and main roads that are used for the public. Now we have 3 hospitals, including a hospital called Santa Teresa in Beirut, declaring that they're out of service now because of the constant Israeli attacks. Many civilians are being killed following the Israeli assassinations and bombardment on civilian buildings, and they also targeted a main road leading to Syria. This road used to serve hundreds of thousands of people fleeing the war to Syria, and now people can no longer use it. So you're talking about a deliberate campaign when it comes to Israel to repeat what they have been doing in Gaza, again in Lebanon. And again, although Benjamin Netanyahu and his government proved time after time that they are not looking for a ceasefire, that they hinder any prospect of a ceasefire, and that they constantly escalate things further, they are still being enabled. And again, this shows that there are intentions here outside of Israel as well for what they're doing to create a greater Israel, and like the Iranian supreme leader said, making Israel a massive hub, not only for energy exports, but for the other transport of other goods as well, from Israel to abroad. And these were the main things that I wanted to share with you in this video. As usual, I hope I elaborated and added some beneficial information for you, and I will see you soon in the next video. Stay blessed and peace.